right, hi. My HyperDoc that I created has to do with our fourth quarter standard in social studies, which discusses Civil War, slavery, the Underground Railroad. We touch on Harriet Tubman and things like that. The first activity in my HyperDoc is about the Underground Railroad, and it tells them to take an adventure on the Underground Railroad. What was a surprise to you during this adventure? So what this link takes them to is a Scholastic website, which walks them through escaping using the Underground Railroad. They start with on the plantation, then they go to their escape, reaching safety, and then finally reaching freedom and telling their story. And it gives they can listen to this reading, and it just walks them through, like, this slave who was on a plantation and his escape route. And then there's different places you can click, and it tells you more about them. And then it's just a write-up of, like, what did you find surprising about this adventure? Another one is test your knowledge at Civil War history. So what they do is it takes them to this quiz. And it's basically just a quick little quiz that talks about Civil War. And the only problem with this is there's some pop-ups there. And then, so what was the name of the secessionist faction of the Civil War? It just takes them through. There's not very many questions, but it's just a random quiz for the Civil War. Another one is use the link below to explore different events and significant places during the Civil War. We talk about the Battle of Bull Run, Gettysburg, different things like that. And so what they can do is they can click on these different events, they can click on different, and it brings up different people like Robert E. Lee, and they talk about the people, and just some important places, and Fort Sumter, and things that they can learn about. And what I like about this is that it gives them dates, and one thing we're incorporating this year is a virtual timeline, and I think this would be a great thing to do or great things that they can put on their timeline. Here's a video that they can watch that is actually a song, and I really like it. It's about Harriet Tubman, and it's kind of a catchy song. I don't know if this will work. And it's actually part of I don't know if it's like a television series or a movie about Harriet Tubman. So if you wanted to extend off of that, you could even show chunks of this show and about Harriet Tubman. It could be a great compare and contrast too. If you know a lot about the history of Harriet Tubman, awesome. Well, let's compare it to this video or this cartoon. What are some similarities? What are some differences? So you can kind of cross-curricular there. And then visit this website that gives an insight about important members during the Civil War. Who do you think was most influential? I love this one because our reading standard for 5th grade talks about they have to pick an influential person and they have to write about him or her. And what this does is it gives them a list of people from the Civil War time period and what they did. And if this doesn't even give them a lot of information, it gives them ideas of people they can research about, because they do have to write about who was the most influential person and why. So I think that's great. And the final one is visit this website to compare and contrast the North and South during the Civil War. Again, it ties in with our reading standard, which is comparing and contrasting its story elements, but still comparing and contrasting. So they read about the North, they read about the South, compare and contrast them. And yeah, it just fits in cross-curricular. And yeah, so there's my HyperDoc. I think you could add a final assessment at the end, or quick little write-ups, ask them, what did you learn from this? What did you like about it? What was an interesting fact? What surprised you the most? Just things like that.